What is going on, good people of YouTube? It's me, Chavez, back with another Prize Picks video for you. Today, Sunday, April 30th, 2023. Man, I love Sundays so much. They always feel right. I hope this Sunday feels right with you. As always, I hope this video finds you all doing well and in good spirits. To kick things off, we'll recap yesterday's plays. And just FYI, any video that I do will always recap the previous day's plays, good or bad. There's always room to improve, so expect that in every video. So recapping yesterday's plays, and then we're just jumping right into the Prize Picks board. I got 3 player props that I like that I want to share with you today. So if you like the way that sounds, stick around, drop a like, drop a sub, click the notification icon to get notified of all upcoming content and videos from me and my channel. Almost knocked my microphone over. Also, be sure to check the description below for the link to my new player prop Discord. We had quite the turnout yesterday, over 200 members already in there, and we're having a good time. So without further delay, now let us jump into those plays from yesterday. 2-1 on the day yesterday. Let's just go through these very quickly and just rip the band-aid off. So let's start with the play that I was probably the most wrong on, and it's going to happen from time to time. Hopefully not too many from time to time, but from time to time, I'm not gonna have a good read on a player. So yesterday, Aaron Gordon under 22.5 PRA. Man, if you took the over on that one, good on you. That line was set way too low by the Prize Pick, by the Prize Pick overlord. So he soared over this, damn near had it in the first half, and I was just very, very hopeful that he would still get in foul trouble. He really didn't do a whole lot wrong yesterday. He was super efficient from the field, knocking down threes. Kevin Durant giving him tons of space, daring him to shoot threes, and he shot threes and made them. Didn't really crash the boards hard. He just scored a lot of points. I don't know if that's the type of performance to expect from Aaron Gordon throughout this series, but man, he showed up in game 1 for sure. Bruce Brown had the opportunity to grab that 6th point for us, that 5th and 6th point for us yesterday. Missed a layup towards the end of the second quarter. It was a pretty contested layup, and it kind of rattled in and out, and that was it. And then after that, Malone put the starters back in, and Bruce Brown didn't see any time until the third quarter, where he went on to have a pretty decent game due to blowout and got a lot of extra run. The one play that did work for us, Kevin Durant over 27.5 points, that to me was like way too low. I expect his line to be bumped up to 28.5, maybe 29 come game 2. But man, Kevin Durant was on point, and I think we continue to see an aggressive Kevin Durant in this series. And I know we saw a lot of Devin Booker last series, but I think this is the series where Kevin Durant shows up for sure. And I'll probably keep taking the over on his points until they bump up to like 40 or something like that. So 1 and 2 on the day, not the best of days, but we bounce back today and attempt to go 2-1, 3-0 with our 3 player props. Let's head on over to the Prize Picks board and we'll break these down. All right, so for our first player prop on the board, I want to head on over to the first game on the schedule, and it is the Heat and Knicks. Talking about Mr. Jimmy Butler. I can't get the words out today. 1.5 steals. I like the over on this one. Out of all the props, I think I like this one. I probably like it the most out of all his props. But let's head on over to props.cash, and we'll talk about why I like this prop. All right, heading on over the props.cash, we got Jimmy Butler's game log up. I kind of figured it out why I feel like my words aren't coming out this morning. I may have had a little too much pre-workout. I like to start the day off with a little pre-workout before I do my research and do the videos, and then after all the work is done, I'll grab some coffee. So I may have overdone it with the pre-workout this morning. So 1.5 steals for Jimmy Butler today. Look, this game log, this is why I like this prop so much. And I understand that we can't just go on the game log alone, but these are all playoff games. These aren't meaningless games. These are all play-in and playoff games. Look at this, man. He's averaging 2 steals per game. He only had 1 game versus Milwaukee where he did not record a steal. In every other game, he's gotten you 2 steals. I mean, this is incredible production from Jimmy Butler. Now, this is not a fluke. Let's go back to last season's playoffs. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Specifically, the Eastern Conference Finals versus the Boston Celtics. I don't want to claim them as my Boston Celtics. I don't own that team, but I am a fan of the Boston Celtics, and I watched that series painfully watched that series, in agony in some of those games as Jimmy Butler just ran all over the Celtics in some of those games. Now, look at this in this Boston series: 4 steals, 1 steal, 2, 0, 2, 4, 1. Let's add them up: 5, 7, 9, 10, 14 steals in that series versus Boston. That's the best team in the Eastern Conference last year. That team went on to play the Warriors in the finals. He did that against them. My point is, Jimmy Butler can do this against anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Jimmy Butler is built for the big stages. He's built for the playoffs. He shows up, and he shows up harder and bigger than any other player out there. I expect Jimmy Butler to have his fingerprints, his handprints, his footprints all over this game. Give me the 1.5 over steals for Jimmy Butler. All right, second player prop on the board that I want to talk about. We're going to head on over to the Golden State. We're done with that New York-Miami game. We're done with it. I don't know. I think that game is going to be such a slow-paced game. Obviously, all the action and the excitement should be in the Golden State-Sacramento game. No blowout. No blowout. Heading on over to that game, I want to talk about De'Aaron Fox's fantasy points, currently set to 49.0. Prizepicks is giving this room to bump up to 49.5. I'm sure at some point today. I like the over 49 fantasy points for De'Aaron Fox. We're going to head on over to props.cash. We'll pull up some game logs and we'll talk about it. All right, so pulling up some point game logs for De'Aaron Fox. Now, no fantasy point game logs for De'Aaron Fox on props.cash, but I do want to say the only game in which he did not hit this prop was, he only had one game in which he did not hit this prop. Let me just show you the fantasy point game log over here on Prizepicks. So the one game he didn't hit this prop was back on the 26th, where he only scored 48.9 fantasy points. Only scored 48.9. So he was right there. Now, the other games, he completely crushed this line. And I want to just say this real quick. De'Aaron Fox didn't crush his fantasy point prop line for those games. He crushed today's fantasy point line in those games. He went over 49 in those games. His fantasy score was not 49 in those games. So he's been going over 49 points in all these games. All right, now we're heading back to props. So props.cash has, 2 out of 6 games where he's gone over his points. Now, obviously, we look at points and rebounds and assists, steals, blocks for your fantasy score. So in terms of his rebounds and assists, which is a prop that I also like for him today, he's exceeded this prop as well. So 5 straight games he's gone over this line of 12.5 rebounds and assists. So you tally up all the rebounds and assists with his points, and everything is looking really, really rosy for De'Aaron Fox today. Steals and blocks. All right, we talked about Jimmy Butler steals and blocks, man. De'Aaron Fox has been showing up as well in these playoffs. So look at this. In this series, 3, 5, 2, 1. What is that? 11 plus 3, 14 plus 4 is 18. 18 steals and blocks over 6 games. He's averaging 3 steals and blocks in each game this season. So what he lacks in points, when he doesn't score 28, 29 points, he's going to make up for it in steals and blocks. Now, the last piece to this pie, to the puzzle, turnovers, is he turning the ball over? Yeah, he's turning it over a lot. So, in his 6 games, you can see that he's averaging 3.8 in this series. The last 2 games, 11 turnovers in those games. And that's why those steals and blocks are so important. One thing that gives me great confidence with this play, we've only seen him tick over 40 minutes in 2 games this season or this series. But this being game 7, this is literally win or go home, win or stay home, whatever you want to call it. I expect De'Aaron Fox to be in there over 42 minutes. His highest minute total in this game or in this series, 42 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in there for 43, 44 minutes. I don't believe that the Sacramento Kings are leaving anything out there. They're just throwing everything they can, at this Golden State team. The opportunity to advance to the second round and knock off the defending NBA champions, that's huge. So I don't think De'Aaron Fox is resting much in this game, which gives him extra opportunity to hit this line. Give me the over 49.0 fantasy points for De'Aaron Fox. All right, and skipping ourselves on over to the other side, I want to talk about Draymond Green for a second here. And I want to talk about his fantasy score set to 31.5. Now, we took this line on Friday. It was at 30.5, and he cleared it. And he cleared it with a terrible game. Let's talk about the over 31.5 fantasy score for Draymond Green. All right, so why am I saying he had a terrible game if he went over fantasy points? Well, because he only scored 4 points on 2 field goal attempts. Didn't take a lot of shots. He played off the bench, comes in, picks up 2 personal fouls in the first minute and a half. So off to a terrible start, only scored 4 points. Now, what did he do well in that game? We look at his rebounds and assists over 13.5. So 14 rebounds and assists for Draymond in that game. Steals and blocks for Draymond Green. Grabbed you 3 turnovers for Draymond Green in that game. 1. Keeping his turnovers low. So helpful. Now, we talked about the personal fouls that he picked up in that game. Ended the game with 5 personal fouls. So 5 fouls, 4 points, 2 field goal attempts. Still goes over 30.5 fantasy points in that game. The reason I like this prop so much is in spite of all that garbage, he still prevailed. And in this series, he's averaging 35.6 fantasy points per game in this series. So in spite of bad shooting nights, in spite of him coming off the bench, playing a limited role off the bench because he's not starting anymore, having bad shooting nights, personal fouls, getting ejected, all these things, he's still averaging 35 fantasy points. His prop today is set too low at 31.5. Now, there's a chance that Kerr inserts Draymond Green back into the starting lineup today because this whole Jordan Poole in the starting lineup is not working. It's just not working right now. They need firepower. They need to come out and smack Sacramento in the face and get out to an early lead and not have to dig themselves out of a hole throughout the game, which is what happened last game. So I think Draymond Green's in the starting lineup today, and if he is in the starting lineup, I like his odds even more. Going over 31.5 fantasy points, that is play number 3. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for today's video. Drop a comment below. Let me know who you like on the Prizepicks board. Also, let me know what you think about these player props that we talked about in today's video. As always, thank you all so much for your continued support, the likes, the subs, the comments, joining the Discord. Man, it all means a ton in helping this channel get a bit bigger every single day as we march towards 5,000 subs. Man, you guys are fantastic. Thank you all so much. Best of luck to you all this afternoon. And if you tail any of these plays, let me know in the comments below. And until tomorrow's NBA Player Prop Prize Picks video, Chavez is